Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bitwig Studio and Music Production. This is lesson 4.17, and in this lesson I'm just going to show you the way Bitwig Studio has set up the mid-side split. So what we can do is actually just go in here on our track, and I've gone back and just restored it, and I'm realizing, yeah, this probably isn't the best example in the world. There's just not quite enough high-end information going on in there, but for the sake of example, I'm not going to change anything up, and instead what I'll do is just show you guys what it is, where it is, how it works, and basically how it sounds almost identical to what we did by splitting the track out and using the tool device. So if you go in the plus here, you'll notice that under containers, we have a mid-side split. And again, what it's done here is it's added a section for the mids, it's added a section for the sides. You can click in there and you can process away to your heart's content. The one thing I would probably do just to start is put a tool into both, just so you can turn things down. There's a decibel control here, but for some reason I just like to keep those at 0 and I like to work with the tools. So if I'm playing this back and I want to just turn the sides off, I can do that, and now in essence we are just soloing out the mids, or vice versa. We're soloing out the sides, and maybe I want to add some level to the sides. And so now from in here, if we wanted, we could very easily create our own mid-side EQ. All we have to do is add in EQ5 to both sides, and we could then process away to our heart's content. Now in the mids, we're going to want to keep mostly the low end. We'd probably hype here using some kind of shelf. We'd probably cut away using a shelf, and then look for a sweet spot down in the low mids to potentially boost. And then I might just take a nice broad cut down in here somewhere. These aren't like definite settings. I'm just showing you guys what you might see on like a mastering chain somewhere, if you ever come across such a thing. So that would look like something I might do on the mids. I think I might have put that on the sides by mistake. Yeah, I did. So I'll just drag and drop that in. And on the sides, you're honestly going to do exactly the opposite. You're going to maybe add some air at the top end, because it's okay to do that on the sides in the stereo content. It's not going to be too difficult for the tweeters to reproduce that. And then you can also, add various and different effects. Like again, you might have different types of compression. Maybe you have compression in the mids, you have expansion in the sides. You might have a delay going in the sides where you have a bit of saturation or distortion in the mids. There's just so many possibilities here. And don't forget, you can take this to the extreme. We could have an effect track in here. We could have a reverb, or we could actually have, let's see, how do I want to set this up? Trying to think about the best way to do this. We could probably use FX chains, and what I'd do is I'd have a reverb in here, maybe followed by some wet effects, and then I'd set myself up another chain, since we're working in serial this way. And then in the other FX chain, what I would do is I would start it out with a mid-side split, and then you could even process out your reverb and do stuff to the mids and do stuff to the sides. Really, again, it's all up to your imagination. It's up to how much you're willing to experiment, and up to how much you're willing to come up with some really bad results, honestly. Even in these examples, I haven't really gotten the sounds like I've wanted, but I know that when I'm working on my own tracks and stuff, I'm willing to sit there and mess around for a couple hours to try to just get something that sounds inspiring. When you start getting this complex and you start doing things with a lot of different routings and where it's easy to get lost, a lot of times what you're looking for isn't what you have in your head, but just what sounds cool and what sounds interesting to you. And if it sounds cool and interesting to you, I can guarantee that it will sound cool and interesting to at least a few other people. When you start getting this experimental and going this deep, inevitably you're going to run into people who might listen to your music and say, wow, that made no sense. That was really stupid. I don't understand it. And that's okay, because not everybody is going to understand, and not everybody is going to like it when you push the extremes this far. And that's really what we've been doing in this whole section, is showing how you can push things and manipulate your audio in just so many ways. And the average listener is going to hear it and have no idea how you've processed your sounds. They're just listening at it from a very basic level of, do I like this or do I not like this? For me, when I listen to music now, I listen, and especially electronic music, I always think to myself, could I actually do that? Do I know how they've done this? And if the answer is no, I give what you've done a big thumbs up. And that's the music that's most interesting to me. That's the music that I listen to again and again and again, trying to dissect it and always coming up empty. So that really is a sidebar rant that we could have saved for another time, but I hope this gives you an idea of how to work with the mid side and what exactly it's doing. So thank you so much for listening, and you will hear from me again in the next lesson. Take care.